Good Friday. Good morning. It's not, Easter Friday or anything. Good Friday with Jesus and the resurrection weekend and all that good stuff. But boy, it feels like a resurrection is coming. God is great. This is the day the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. So I'm happy. Are you happy? I hope you're a happy boy, Blake. Everything's going good.
I'm happy for the people where things are going good. I'm still struggling because we're behind enemy lines, but
Okay.
that's
Yeah, true enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. But you know what? I've entitled this thing American Power. American Power. I'm starting to get the feeling that whatever's coming is unstoppable. And in fact, the old Q drops used to say, nothing could stop what is coming. Nothing. Q also said, you are the news now. You are, and long before Elon Musk said it 4 or 5 years later, way back in the early comms was saying, because the idea was to take power away from the legacy, the lamestream media, and get it
yeah,
in the hands of the people, democratize it. We're seeing democracy win in Iran. They were knocking down the gates to the palace in the second largest city in Iran. And Trump took note of it, and Trump put out a post about it
yeah,
saying, we, America, stand with the people of Iran. That regime is on its way over.
yeah,
But there's also talk today. I was reading some of the posts and some of the pundits, some of the analysis, some of the anons were looking in on this and saying it's all dominoes. It's like dominoes. They weren't using this terminology, but it's terminology I found quite effective for all this. Venezuela first. Venezuela opens up Dominion voting systems. That becomes clear.
yeah.
People were questioning, why does Maduro look so happy? He's doing the
I
thumbs up.
know.
He's got a big smile. He's in U.S. custody. What does he know that we don't know? And there is an absolutely, now, interesting if true. Interesting if true. What I have, this first clip will go in because this thing, I just love this clip here, Blake. Whether believe it or not, Ripley's believe it or not, tinfoil me if you will, but it's almost like he's monster, El Lobo. They're going, what happened? It was the werewolf coming. It's the peasants are going, El Lobo, and they're all freaked out. Goro
Yeah,
Garu, Lugaru, Lugaru. That's an old Johnny Quest episode, if I got it quote right. But anyway, this cat here, let's make him small.
A security
Okay, hang on there. I know you're eager, little fella. Okay, so this is from who sounds
yeah.
like a good rock band.
It
But
was a
anyway,
band.
yeah, I know. Let's go up there. Boom. Venezuelan raiders put fear in all of Latin America when it comes to see this American power with U.S. weapons and soldier. So, well, let's hear what's going on.
a security guard that was protecting Maduro has spoken, and you got to hear what he said. It's in Spanish, but I'll translate. Also, Trump announced that the cartels, they're going after him in Mexico. The whole vibe of Latin America has changed because of what happened in Venezuela, and now that we're getting firsthand accounts from people that were there, the soldier says they didn't hear him coming. He says the Americans had technology superior to anything they've ever seen. Everything that they were using for radar, for anything, was completely taken offline. They had drones, and the drones were taking out bases and taking out things faster. They didn't have no technology. They've never had to fight against drones. He also talks about that there was only 8 helicopters. There was only 20 men that were sent in. And those 20 men killed hundreds of their men. And none of those soldiers were injured. He talks about it felt like they were firing 300 rounds a minute. Nothing they've ever seen, nothing that they can compete with. And then he also talks to the fact that the Americans had some kind of sonic shock boom that was sent out, and everybody immediately started bleeding profusely out of their nose. They couldn't even gather themselves because whatever was sent at them made them fall to their knees and vomit blood out of their mouth and out of their noses. They were incapacitated immediately. He says he never wants to go through that again. Doesn't want to have to fight with the Americans again. He's sending warnings to everybody out there that you think you can fight the Americans. You don't even know what their weaponry is like and what they're capable of. 20 men took out hundreds, and that's starting to spread all through Latin America. And now they're not saying, if you want me, come and get me anymore. They're like, oh shit. Especially after Trump says, hey, Mexico, you're on the list too.
All right. So kind of interesting to say the
Well,
least. Go ahead, talk to
I
me.
was going to say their tech is, I mean, ultra advanced. I mean, they don't have Area 51 for nothing. I mean, they're practicing with all kinds of weaponry that's so advanced that we'll never know what it is until it's actually used. And even then, when they use it, they're not going to tell you what it is.
Well, until it falls into, and then the Russians got their own version of it, the Chinese, et cetera, et cetera. But this is kind of where we are in 21st century warfare. It's this kind of stuff we're seeing. And these sonic weapons have been talked about for some time. In fact, some diplomats, I forget where they were. They were in a meeting somewhere.
Oh, the Cubans, apparently.
Yeah, it was a Cuban meeting. Yeah. And then like 53 diplomats it was a very large number, 30 to 50 diplomats were all taken ill with.
But they were hitting Americans. They said it was Chinese or Cuban. I can't remember. They think it was. But that technology has been around for a while, where they can hit you with sonic weapons that can do incredible amounts of damage. And they blamed the Cubans for that one. But who knows? It could have been the Chinese. It could have been I mean, we don't even know who your friends or allies anymore, right? That's kind of with this world, this kind of stuff is happening. I mean, we know other countries have advanced weaponry too. As you said, China, Russia. I mean, China's got supersonic missiles that go so fast, they don't even need to have a warhead on them. They just have to hit the ground at high speed, and it's like a meteor or an asteroid hits your city.
Yeah, you get a massive shockwave.
Yeah.
Okay. Blake and I got a lot to go through today. We'll take this on. I'll take a nosebleed if it means the USA can oust the UK government. Listen, 40, I got good news for you, man. The political nooner, American power is what today's episode is. Nothing can stop what is coming. Nothing can stop what is coming. Canada is in deep doo-doo. We saw the Promethean Action Report talk about how Trump's taking down of Venezuela is also a shot directly at Canada. Stick in line. Canada's meeting with Xi. He's a good friend of mine, Xi. I like him, good guy. But here's the deal. So Canada's playing F around. We're in the fuck around point before they find out point for Canada. Canada, for reasons known only to the globalists and to Blake and myself, because we were on the story, we're on the case.
And we're behind the lines.
Yeah, we're behind the lines. Canada is opening an embassy in Greenland for the first time ever. It's become a priority to open an embassy in Greenland for the 16 Canadians that are in Greenland. We have apparently 16 Canadians live there. So we need an embassy for sure. Right now, at this time in history, at this junction, it has never been more powerful, more important to get an embassy for Canada and Greenland. So obviously, this is just meant to antagonize, provoke, and don't poke the bear. Don't poke the lion. Trump's the lion. Russia may be the bear. Trump's the lion. But I got this. So we'll play this, and then I'm going to go to Blake. And Blake, you'll tear it apart. But this is for you, with love, for our friend 4D out in Manchester, England. And as usual, I'll make this all big. U.S. government starts sanction plan against the UK. They've been planning this for months, but banning X is a step too far. The U.S. have had enough of Keir Starmer being a dictator. It's not just Starmer. The whole of the UK faces sanctions for free speech violations. Representative Anna Paulina Luna, great name. If Starmer is successful in banning X in Britain, I will move forward with legislation that is currently being drafted to sanction not only Starmer, but Britain as a whole. This would mirror actions previously taken by the U.S. in response to foreign governments restricting the platform, including the dispute with Brazil 2025, which resulted in tariffs, visa revocations, sanctions, consequences tied to free speech concerns against Brazilian officials over concerns related to censorship and free speech violations. So Keir Starmer plans to ban X in UK. It's finally happening. The threats have been going on for some time. He's now going to attempt it. Well, good luck with that, Buttercup, because you're going to get the full force of U.S. sanctions on your little rump. And though you may enjoy rump action, Kears, say what you will, but this is America flexing. America is not the entity. You don't want to screw with Trump right now, is my opinion. I think America's flexing. I think they're doing the Don Roe doctrine, the Monroe doctrine, as Blake has alluded to previously on the program. We'll speak to that some more, Blake. I know he'll speak to that some more. But America's really flexing and really telling the world where the buck stops and where they can get off. You cannot attack American assets. And by blocking X, that's one of the key instruments Trump is using to democratize the world, to rob power of these elites and established legacy regime upholding entities. And so X is a spear pointed right at the very heart of all that. So X will be zealously guarded, and England should have no fear. America will come to your rescue. Because through a massive economic pressure. And believe you me, nobody is any shape in the world to take on America right now. The military is extremely strong right now in the United States. And Trump, for his part, is in a complete flexing mood. Blake, England, Starmer, X platform, take it away.
Yeah, well, I agree. England is the center. I mean, London is the center of the financial world. So the WF has been operating their globalist agenda, even though they have their meetings in Davos and in Europe and under the EU auspices of the EU. But I think the EU still sees Britain as part of the EU, and they've been kind of faking their whole Brexit movement.
Yeah, the whole Brexit was kind of lame, wasn't it?
Did it even happen? I mean, they voted again and said, yeah, we're out, and they still have they actually Brexited completely? No,
they never did. They
never did,
didn't they?
I mean, the fact that you still have, I think, MPs, or what do they call the EU MP version, just shows who's really the power brokers, right?
Yeah.
But I think if a master stroke I felt that Trump may do is if you put in the sanctions, go at those guys hard. But you know what? If they're acting like dictators, do what they did to Russia and Iran. Seize their international assets. I mean, this is what they've done to every other country that's acted undemocratically and turned into dictators, is you seize those guys' assets so they have no money, seize their bank accounts, and maybe that's going to be part of the future plans rolling out. But the other side of it would be is to start offering refugee status for Britons that who are being oppressed, right? So you have a chance to leave if the government's oppressing you, and you've got evidence of that, which X provides endless evidence of it, because these people are having the police show up at their front doors. They're being arrested and they're being dragged in front of magistrates without very little due process, and being charged and tried and put criminal records on them for saying things that the government doesn't like. So to me, that would be grounds to claim refugee status. Like, you'd be able to leave.
Is the U.S. State Department aware of what's going on in England, Blake?
Oh, 100%. I think they'll just try and stop it. I think they know, much like Iran, or just like Venezuela, or just like I'm sure the leaders in Colombia and other countries in the world. The world's fed up with those guys. They're fed up with those guys running the show that they've done. They've been restricting and reducing freedom. They've used fascistic policies that have removed freedom and liberty, have given power over to only the select few of large multinational corporations that they're invested in, and they're allied with the leftists to do their bidding on the ground. And I think people in those countries want to be free. They want to be free. And that Maduro, maybe he's happy because maybe he's been told, like, thank God for getting me out of there. I didn't know what direction to go. I mean, everybody wants me dead. I'll sing like a bird. Can you give me a mansion somewhere and some cash, and I'll I'll tell you everything you want to know. And you can guarantee there's probably in some sense a sense of freedom. The Liberty releases up. It's like, okay, I was kind of trapped. I'm everybody's puppet there. And at any time somebody could kill me, right? Because that's what happens with those Central American and South American leaders. They get offed quite often. You see stuff like that. But now he's got the protection of the United States. But I think more so, it's telling the population that you that long for freedom, you have an opportunity to do it and rise up and do it. That's what's happening in Iran right now. And I think that's why the United Kingdom was doing it under Tommy Robinson. They had a massive rally. Maybe it's time for the streets in the UK to flood. And maybe it's time for places like Canada to get the truckers honking and ready to go again and get them rolling, because, this time we actually have somebody who will back our play, right? That's the thing. We had Biden before. Biden wouldn't back anything. That he was a globalist. He was run by the globalists. He was a puppet that was put in there by cheaters.
Yeah.
And we're going to know all that's blowing up too, right?
Yeah.
So
it's really 2026. So you and I did our little prediction. One of the predictions we called is 2026 going to be the year of revelation. All the truth about the 2020 election is going to come out in this year. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Interesting. Now, did we on Tuesday, did we mention had that come out yet about the United Arab Emirates showing concern about their people going to England?
We didn't know, but I know the story.
We didn't cover that? Okay.
Go ahead and cover it now, because it's right. Actually humorous, but it's sad at the same time.
Yeah, let you tell the kids what it is, and I'll get the actual link for it, and then you can do the thing. So tell the story, what happened.
At the Emirates, it's a UAE, I believe.
It is UAE.
So essentially, you got a bunch of wealthy families that want to send their children from the UAE. So these would be Arab sheiks and oil tycoons and wealthy people can send their kids to the UK to go to school. But they're now afraid to do that because they're afraid that they'll go to the UK and become radicalized.
Because
Islamic radicals.
Yeah.
And they don't want Islamic radicalism.
Okay. I got the link for us on that. And it's kind of a funny one. There's a lot out here on this, but I got kind of a humorous take on it. The United Arab Emirates, a Muslim nation, blacklists 8 UK-based Muslim outfits, accusing them of ties with the Muslim Brotherhood. Legal financial actions imposed on blacklisted entities by the United Arab Emirates, sanctioning Muslim entities. Let that sink in. And here we go. Together we will make this country yours. Thank you for being so weak. Okay, and then over here we got a little political going on. We go big here, and this is a minute 12, so we can handle a minute on our short-running program. Can you see this guy here prescribing Islamist terrorist groups, Blake?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Let's play it.
Now, in addition, Madam Deputy Speaker, yesterday, our allies in the United Arab Emirates announced the...
Sorry, I'll make it bigger. Hopefully this is bigger.
It's big.
Okay. Okay.
Now, in addition, Madam Deputy Speaker, yesterday, our allies in the United Arab Emirates announced the fact that 19 entities and individuals have been prescribed and put on their watch list for terrorist links across the world. Very sadly, 8 of those entities exist in the UK and operate freely and are not prescribed. So could we have a statement by our government minister early next week on what action the government is going to take following the actions of the United Arab Emirates to make sure that these Islamist terrorist groups who are linked to the Muslim Brotherhood are prescribed in the UK and not allowed to operate freely?
All right. So there's the story. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous to think. And the same thing, like people think that Iran, Persia, formerly Persia, is an Iranian state. Well, the Iranian state has control of it, but the people themselves are not into any of this stuff. They want freedom like the rest of us. So and they're making their feelings felt right now. Total blackout by the lamestream media in the West, by the way, on
Yeah.
this story. It came across on X today. I'm sure Blake saw it as well. That the CBC is reluctantly, CTV as well, reluctantly starting to have to address the story because we're getting the worst. When Trump said they aren't sending their best, he was absolutely right about that, as evidenced by what the UK minister was saying there, that 8 entities of the 19 are in the United Kingdom. I believe the rest are in Canada, currently members of parliament here. I'm joking, of course, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, so the influence and the failure, and we played that clip last week. The minister India a couple of days ago, the minister from India saying in no doubts or making it crystal clear that Canada has welcomed a whole bunch of gangsters from his country into this country, Canada, unsanctioned. They're running about doing whatever the hell they want, and basically saying they've caused problems here. Good luck to you when they start doing what they do over there. So really interesting.
Well, I think they're going to see a significant change, as you're saying. Like, this is the year we're going to see the pressure coming down on all fronts. People are just fed up with these governments that have been either co-opted and managed from multinational interests, and I'm talking about multi-countries that are dependent on resource extraction from other countries to draw it into them. And I think that people are also fed up with the radicalism. And the radicalism is sometimes being blamed by intelligence efforts that actually created that as a disrupting agent within these regions to keep them under their thumb. And I think that's blowing up. If the mullahs, and apparently lots of them are leaving and fleeing the country. People have been reporting in Moscow, seeing some of the top brass from Iran showing up there. Beirut, they're showing up in Beirut. Of course, they'll hide behind the Hezbollah wall that's there. But Hezbollah, you'll be next. You'll be next.
Well, isn't it the case of the little pigs, huff and puff, and they go from the little straw house and then the wolf couldn't blow it down. Unfortunately, the Americans have sound wave technology to go through the poorest brick house and absolutely make them nosebleed, and they'll be throwing up blood pretty quick.
Exactly.
So there, you cannot hide. There's nowhere they can run where they can hide. America's just absolutely dominant right now, and they have nowhere to go. Now, speaking of retards, we got Porch Pineapple with us. MAGA told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. Of course, that's from 1984. As typical, Satan, the great deceiver, always inverts things. When the apostles, the Holy Spirit came upon them in the book of Acts, they go out in the street and they say, we've got to stop these men. They have turned the world upside down. No, motherfuckers. They took it and they made it right side up. So for you, my mentally deficient quackabush, I got a little X platform comment for you. So we're not supposed to believe our eyes? Quite the opposite. To Governor Walz and Mayor Frey on National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, a great day, it would be beneficial for public policy to the ICE agent department. The body cam video has been released. Your false and incendiary narrative has been debunked. Please stop the divisive rhetoric. There's the actual body cam footage. He's going to go around. You're going to see the kerfuffle. Here's Smiley Jane before justice, before the find out aspect of her fuck around moment took place. There's the hit. Boom, boom, boom. But business is taken care of. Another bad actor taken out. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what? I marked myself safe from being killed by ICE. And you know why I did, Blake? Because I'm not an idiot running out there and going, yeah, no, you can't. What are you going to do to me, ICE?
Yeah, sadly, the poor people.
Absolute functional retard from the left out there. Your time is up. You'd better know it. It's all coming out. They're screaming. They're crying. Tim Walz loves the distraction of all this activity because he's going down for corruption, for the massive fraud in Minnesota. Now we're finding that it's happening in Columbus, Ohio. Reports are coming out. We're also
Illinois,
finding it coming out. California is in the crosshairs. It is happening. Praise God. Glory to Jesus.
You see the amount from
this.
California alone? They're talking $750 billion in fraud.
750 bill?
Almost $1 trillion in fraud money.
Oh, yeah. Governor, do something. Governor Gavin. Hi, Kimba. God bless you.
Yeah. Well, and that's why they're all calling for, that's why Walz was trying to get other states to stand united with their new insurrection. And this is an insurrection, folks. That's what it is. This is what it looks like. This is what they put barricades in the streets. They use violence, intimidation, and anybody comes around there, they try and create their own barricades. That's a real insurrection, folks, right there. So be prepared.
It is. They are talking resurrection. And Tim Walz was talking about bringing out the National Guard to fight against the ICE troops and whatever Trump decides to do. So this is really interesting because this is kind of reminiscent of 1861 to my historic eyes. Blake, tell me what happened between 1861 and 1865.
It was called the American Civil War, but yeah, it began in well, it kind of was connected to John Brown, who was
lies a moldering in the grave.
So, but yeah, it was the Fort Sumter, I think, was where the shot heard around the world began. And that's kind of where the world went, you know, because it was a world war, even though it was a civil war, but because we had Russia involved, we had the Brits were involved,
the French were involved,
and
don't forget the Irish.
And so everybody got involved. The World War was fought on this side and everybody was taking sides. But let's remember who supported who. It was the Brits and Canada. And Canada, Americans take note, Canada supported the Confederacy. And so did England at that time. So Democrats are the Confederates. They have been the Confederates. They were the party of the Confederation. They haven't changed their stripes. That's why they keep talking about democracy and never talk about the Republic. They don't like the Republic. They hate the Union for what it stands. That's exactly what they are. They hate the Union for what it stands. They're the good old rebels still kicking around. They're just now progressive snowflakes running around with purple hair and blocking ICE agents in cars.
I think, you know what, I saw something really encouraging, Blake, is CTV it was Global Television, which is the third biggest network in Canada. We got the CBC, we got the CTV, and then we got Global News on the national front in Canada. Global News came out and they said, competing narratives or competing ideologies over what happened in Minnesota, over the death of the lesbian. We love our LGBTQ plus people here. Of course, I'm a trans woman of color myself very proudly. So we're very pro LGBTQ plus here. Anyway, here's the deal. They admitted that there's two competing narratives over this story. Without X, Blake, they would never have said a headline or put that kind of headline out. It just would have been, here's what happened in Minnesota, and there's no game saying that we've got all the proof. It would be like this moron.
It would be like being in Canada.
Well, you could support this kind of moron because all you would hear would be this kind of viewpoint.
Yeah.
But because we have X, I was immediately able to refute the shit that came pouring out of this man's asshole. Have you seen the hyena going up behind the ass of the hippopotamus and wearing just a torrent of shit? This is what this guy is. So anyway, I just love it. Anyway, so they can't get away with it. And so they have to acknowledge, it's not all our narrative now. Now they have to pay lip service at the very, like clutching the gun from their cold, dead hand. They're reluctantly having to spit it out. They're reluctantly having to call or cover the activity of the protests in Iran. That regime is about to fall. When they're literally at the gates of a palace, knocking the gates down, that's not people dancing in the street or protesting with a bullhorn or even a trucker convoy, that's right up at the gates of the houses of power. And they're tearing those gates down and storming the castle. And when you start
Yeah.
getting that kind of activity, very shortly a regime collapses. And we're seeing it in real time unfold.
Well,
In Iran.
if Iran gets a really good government in there, that is a massive game changer, and again, a massive superpower for oil and influence, and critical minerals. They've got mining, they got everything
Yeah.
there too. So, I mean, they're a big country. Anybody go look at the size of Iran. It is a big country, just like Turkey. They are a large mass. They've got lots of people. And really it will put a wedge really now between the radicals that run Pakistan, right? Pakistan is where you're seeing the radicals, and Afghanistan, of course, with the Taliban, but the Taliban's been pretty quiet. They're kind of keeping to themselves, but they're still very much allied to the Pakistan government, which is highly radicalized.
Yeah.
And are a net exporter of radical Islam, which you're seeing in London, and that's the kind of
Well, what happened?
Arab Muslims are not fans of the
We saw that with the
Islam that's coming
United
out of
Arab
Pakistan.
Emirates. Yeah.
Well, and you look at Indonesia. Do you see Indonesia going around the world blowing up stuff and doing stuff? No,
Yeah.
you don't see it. They're a Muslim country, but they're far more peaceful compared to.
Do you know
where
the
the
other
radicals
thing
are
you're
coming out
not
of.
hearing about? You know, the other group we're not hearing about lately is the Somali pirates. Remember them?
Yeah, because they're all in Minnesota.
They're all in Minnesota. It's more lucrative in Minnesota.
They're on the lakes there now, little boats.
They won't get blown out of the water there. But this is an example of American power again, shutting down all that activity. They cut off a lot of the funding. And here's the next question, Blake. So with Iran neutralized effectively from within, and obviously America probably had and other interests would have had their work trying to undermine the authority there, that government in collapse. Already they're starting to, you're going to see the lion. I guess they have their old symbol of the Iran. They're taking down the Islamic flag, and is being replaced with the traditional flag. I guess the flag of the people, if you want to call it
the original
that.
Iranian flag. But their heir apparent to the Shah has been speaking a lot on X. So
yes,
I've been watching what he's been saying, kind of encouraging them to keep moving. But I saw some pretty good people posting about him, saying, "This is great. You're doing it from the sidelines, but you better be the one to show up on the ground, and you better put yourself out there as well." So, we don't want a Arab Spring moment that the Clintons and the Obamas tried to push through in Egypt, and which turned into a complete disaster. That was to support the Muslim Brotherhood. That was not to support a free and democratic change that the people of Iran want. But Iran's going to be, as I said, it is another key piece, just like Venezuela. Venezuela is a key piece for the Western Hemisphere because it's driving the Russians, the EU, and the Chinese influence out of South America. I think that is the big shot that we're seeing that Trump is saying to them. That's why Greenland's a big play. I don't know if you've got that, but I mean, it's all, as you said, it's all interconnected. This is all happening at once. And as those pieces start to fall, and I'm going to say the bad guys, hopefully the bad guys are the ones who are going to see the fall, and they're going to start running all over the place for safe havens.
I love it. You know what I'm loving about Blake is he and I we're starting to absorb a little Trump, the bad guy. When you're doing that, the bad guy, I'm seeing a little bit of the Donald happening with you there. So I for one appreciate it. I love to see it. But this is really interesting. I think Venezuela is key. Clinton's the keystone. We've got the Epstein files bouncing around. That's all going to come out. We've got Clinton, who didn't show up for his depositioning. I just don't feel up to it. I'm having a weak time, and this week's not good for me to show up and testify. So 2 weeks to the day he did that. Then Trump started talking about Iran. And then within a day of Trump talking about Iran, there's thousands of people out on the streets and all over the country, and Iran's starting to shake and quake and rumble and collapse. We're seeing the move on Greenland. Apparently, I read a report today where Greenland is now seeking talks with the Trump administration, independent of Denmark. Well,
Yeah.
that doesn't bode well for Denmark. That doesn't bode well for Denmark. So, what do you think the chance? I think Polymarket has it up right now as 18% chance that Greenland falls to America in 2026. This very fiscal year, I guess you could, somewhere within this framework, you're going to get Greenland joining the United States. It's going to be a territory. I don't think it'll be a state, but it'll be absorbed like Puerto Rico or however you want to call it. It's definitely falling within the American sphere of influence. It's going to happen. And once that happens, we've already said, remember, Promethean report was it was amazing because the Promethean report said the Canadian government is aware that as soon as Trump made the move on Greenland, they held an emergency out of character meeting on a Sunday where these guys, you can't get these people to work on a Wednesday or on a Tuesday. They won't come into the office. They hate working these.
They got the flex days almost every day.
Yeah, exactly. We're taking this year off, but we'll be back. Thanks for the paycheck. So long, and thanks for all the fish. But so there they are having their emergency meeting because they're trying to stop this. And I know, the world knows Canada is no position to stop America, and Europe's in no position to cross the ocean to come over to stop America from doing whatever the hell it wants with Canada.
We saw the
go ahead. Tell me.
I was going to say that Austrian politician, if you saw that ex-post where he was threatening America to take their bases in Europe if they take Greenland, and everyone's kind of laughing. It's like, go ahead, that's a great trade, right? You guys get a little patches of land.
I think they showed the mighty Flaccopanzer or something. It's a little tractor with a little gun on it. There you go, Denmark's defense.
Well, you guys can go look after yourselves, sure. I think that's what a lot of Americans are saying. No, we're concerned about the Western Hemisphere. That's the focus. That is the Monroe Doctrine. That is the Don Rowe Doctrine. He's just mirroring. It's time to get these globalists who are outside of the Western Hemisphere out of here and get the locals to run local interests. So your country belongs to you. We need to have a common. The West is going to be free. And I like to liken it to, and I said this on a few ex-posts to some of these nutcases out there, but essentially what's happened is, Trump is leading the charge that it's time for the colonial governments, and that's basically what we are in the Western world, in the Western Hemisphere, from South America, Central America, North America. We are all products of colonial governments and European and world powers that have established themselves here, maybe with the Soviets later. Obviously they had a lot of influence later on, but this kind of European influence is still there. And I think this is the time is where we're telling Europe, we've grown up now, bugger off, right? That's essentially what's happened. And I think Trump is telling them, we are our own now. We don't need you. We have all the resources we need locally. We have all the power we need locally. We are the biggest military force in the world, and we're going to protect what's in our backyard. And that's essentially it. And the protection that they're going to provide isn't some tyrannical authoritarian regime. It's actually protecting you by giving you the ability to be free.
Yeah.
And that's the winning formula. And if Europe, wake up, that was the winning formula for you too, is become free nations, not this quasi-Marxist, socialist / fascist type of states with a faux version of liberty. Yeah, you can go down and buy a coffee, but God forbid you speak out or go against the government.
Well, Canada's moves. Yeah, Canada's intentionally, let's not say Canada. Let's say the Carney government is intentionally provoking the United States.
He's an EU guy.
It's absolute, but it's madness. Trump is not, you don't want to poke Trump. Yeah. You ever seen those idiots? I saw one guy at a zoo. There's a lion in the zoo, and he's putting his hand inside the cage, and the lion grabs the guy's hand and the headline was like, "Man loses hand after, provoking lion.
Instead of idiot,
Yeah.
lose his hand for
Yeah,
being
so
a
he's going, and then it shows the lion just have enough, and it just grabs the guy, and he loses his.
Well, you
hand.
know what Carney reminds me of? One day I was walking in a park with my wife here in Victoria, and we were
Your
down.
lovely wife, yes.
Yeah, we were down. It was a few years ago, but we were down at Island View Beach, walking along there, and
Very
there was a lady who had probably about 20 dogs around her. She was a dog walker. They're
Yeah,
all on
yeah.
their own little leashes, and you've seen them. They
Yeah.
look like they're pilots, right? They've got like hands controlling all
Yeah.
these little dogs going all over the place. And anyways, they're all different sizes: large, small, medium. But this little yappy dog just came running out at us out front. And the funniest thing, it was going yap, 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 yap at us. And then it would look back at the big mass of the big dogs behind him, like, come on, guys, join me on this. And they wouldn't have anything to do. Going, yap, 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 yap. And then all of a sudden it just ran and went in behind them all and disappeared.
Yeah.
There's Mark Carney. Yap, 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 little yappy dog. And guess what? Who's lining up behind him? Any big muscle? No.
No.
It ain't happening. What? Macron's going to be a threat, or Keir Starmer is going to be a threat to Trump, or Xi's probably the biggest guy on the block, and he's kind of playing both sides of the fence now.
China doesn't want to rumble. China is not in a position to rumble right now. It doesn't feel like having that fight. And nobody came to Venezuela. Russia and China did not come to their aid. And another report that came out, the Americans seized a Venezuelan tanker under Russian flag with a Soviet a Russian submarine in the waters nearby. It didn't deter the Americans. They manifest destiny. They Monroe documented themselves right on top of that freighter, and they took it and towed it back into American waters. So, it sucks to be anybody but America right now. If America wants it, they got it. They walk softly and they carry a big stick. And they aren't walking so softly right now. They're just going in.
Well, think of what Trump's done
business.
so far. He's obviously, Venezuela is probably the biggest move so far. But there's a lot of things he did even his first term, like what he's done in the Middle East, and then Biden tried to unravel it all.
Saudi Arabia was the first deal.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia went to Trump.
But they got that sorted out, trying to stop the Islamic problem with Israel, to try and get the Islamic world to be at peace. What they call it, the Abraham Accords, bring that back to life. But the other big one that people talked about briefly was he took back the Panama Canal. That was huge, because it was being handed over to the Chinese. And of course, the person that was responsible was a Democrat. Once again, it was
that just
Jimmy
happened
Carter.
This year. He didn't do that the first term.
No, but I'm just saying the things he's done, right? And
Yeah.
that's it's a massive story, equal to the Venezuelan story, because
it
is the main shipping point for you. But it's not just for shipping; it is for the U.S. Navy to be able to pass through it.
Yeah,
and now they got control, but the Americans built it. They funded it. They lost their lives on it because of yellow fever.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people died.
Thousands died there. French tried to do it. They failed. And the Americans came in and they figured out how to do it. And they did
American know-how.
And they had it on perpetuity agreement that it would be theirs.
Yeah.
And of course, Jimmy Carter signed it away. But that's, again, a Democrat doing.
But I agree with you. It's a huge development that Trump got the control of the Panama Canal. But again, it speaks of that sphere of influence. That was Trump saying.
Well, the chess piece, right?
Here.
China was made their move. Boom, he took that piece out. China makes her move into Venezuela. Boom, he takes that piece out. But
not on my watch, says Trump. Not in my neighborhood. Not in my backyard. Not going to happen.
Well, and what is the overarching battle behind all this? Well, it's money and power. And the money is there's a currency war. Who's going to be the largest, the newest currency for the world? And so America has to defend their currency as well, because BRICS nations, they were trying to get everyone in South America to go behind it, but Argentina would have none of it. And Argentina is a huge story. That was influenced by Trump. What was going on in Chile, the change there is influenced by Trump and his policies. What's happened in Panama, what's happened in what's happening in Iran is right now is influenced by Trump. And it's because people feel free now. They've got somebody's got their back who's going to say, don't harm your own people. And I think him saying this to Keir Starmer right now is just saying the same thing could happen to you. And if you keep doing that, we'll bring the hammer down on you guys as well. And the EU, let's face it, what do you guys produce in the world? You're a taker. You draw in from everybody else. We're all nations that are producers. We have minerals, we have energy, we have all this kind of stuff. And yeah, we love Europeans. It's not Europeans, the people, but it's your elites that have been in power. These nobles, you want to call them, have never left this idea that they're still in charge of the world. They've lost the empire rules. It is finished. The new world order is actually what we're seeing now, is that tripolar world that's forming. And hopefully most of the world will embrace freedom and liberty. And it's going to get away from these royal kind of ideas of feudal lords controlling sectors through financial systems. And they bring the new billionaire class into it. That's finished. That's got to end. And I think Trump is not, the leftists are trying to say, well, it's all these billionaires that are managing all this. Yeah, it is billionaires, but it's not just billionaires. Billionaires are just a layer here. What's above them, holding all the puppet strings, is this old system. And that's what I would say when you're talking to the Promethean Action Group, those people really pointed out, it is that old world cartel of interests, of big central bankers controlled to very powerful families who are allied to the old aristocracies that were still in play. They're still there. The kings and queens, the nobles of old are still holding on to a lot of power. For crying out loud, England still has the House of Lords, right? I mean, we're talking, it's still never disconnected itself from completely from the crown. It's just given power to the peasants where they share power, but they've never actually said, yeah, we're not sharing power anymore.
Well,
we're going to become an
oligarchy. It became an oligarchy. And these people, these politicians in Canada, in America, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, the United States, they became so self-serving on both sides of the aisle. And so we're seeing these massive corruption deals. We're seeing Rand Paul being accused of benefiting from Maduro's regime. All these kind of things. Lindsey Graham's name has come up for kickback. So there's corruption in the Republican Party. This is why a lot of the GOP are signing on with the Democrats for certain bills and this kind of thing. Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that way. Okay. And
I just want to make one last point about that. What I was saying is that they're trying to do that to Canada too, right? And they're using the Indigenous background to try and break it up into these feudal lords that control it.
We know
that's the plan.
Yeah, we know the plan, but check this. Okay, here's another example of why everything's coming up rosy. Everything's coming up rosy. Check this. Breaking news, and I was thinking before I showed this, there's the top of the little kid said, breaking news, StatsCan, jobs numbers just released, 73,000 jobs lost last month. Canada needs a real job plan now, and just because it's frustrating just looking at the top of this Yuddle's head. But there's the guy. He's walking along. He's talking about the jobs lost in Canada. StatsCan jobs numbers, 73,000 gone. Now, before the show, I said to myself, do I even want to show that? Here's why, Blake, because I don't think it matters under Trump. Keir Starmer, when I started hearing Anna Paulina Luna, and people like that out of the State Department, U.S. State Department, starting to talk, we've already got a plan in place to start sanctioning the F out of England, out of the United Kingdom, if they take out X. That gave me great hope for Canada. We're on their border. Their border.
Greenland on one side, Alaska on the other, the lower 48, the vice is all around.
Canada's in even less position than Britain to withstand any kind of dedicated, targeted, economic punch from the United States. We're absolutely open and powerless before them.
Yep.
I remember when I was a little kid, you're talking about the little dog. My parable is Tommy Turner. Tommy ended up being a gorilla of a man, so I'm glad I got to him while he was just a little guy. I could beat him up. And Tommy was a mouthy little son of a gun. And he'd go, "You can't get me." And his mommy, I still remember his mommy up in they had these big windows in these houses. They were just massive windows. So mom's looking down, watching me on the street, and Tommy's on his stoop on the steps of his little house there. And he goes, "You can't get me." I go, to my friend, "Wilf, hold my bike." My buddy Wilfred, he's still with us. So I hand my bike off to, I'm like 11 years old, Blake. I walk up to this kid and bam, just laid him out. And I still remember his mom up in the window going, "Tommy!" You're like, "Tommy!" She goes flying down. But, because the kids was yapping up, and "You can't get me." So it's like Canada. Canada going, "Where are you? We're starting an embassy in Greenland. We're seeing Z. I'm meeting with Z.
Yeah.
Donald." All this nonsense. And the thing is that Trump will just squeeze, and that's all. You just like one of those guys squeeze you on the shoulder. "Yeah, okay, uncle."
Like that, the teacher that would, when you were being the class clown, they're getting fed up. They just grab your that's it. It's over.
So anyway, that's my take, Blake, is that whatever Canada does, whatever Starmer nonsense they spew. Here's another funny one. I
want to make a point about the Carney going to China and things like that. But I think essentially Trump doesn't care now. He's just like, it's a distraction. It's like a little bug, the mosquito trying to buzz around your ear. He's not paying any attention to it. He's focusing on the Western Hemisphere as a whole. He's focused on the rest of the world. Canada is, what we're experiencing in Canada is all propaganda for Canadians. It is not for the rest of the world. And even if he is mocking Trump, he's not mocking. He's just putting on an act, because Trump or Carney hasn't brought back anything. Trump, every time he goes out and meets somebody on trade, there's a deal done.
Yeah,
Canada sits there, even Mexico, they're doing the deal. And then you've got like Canada, who's like, "No, we're elbows up, blah, blah, blah. We're going to put on." So we have an acting group, and they're all acting while they're looting the country. And that's essentially what I think what's happened is you're looking at these people are looting. And the fact that he took the floor crossing conservative Chinese influenced, apparently, MP who crossed the floor to his party from the Conservatives to China with him. And so this guy hasn't been back to Hong Kong for, I don't know, he was born in Hong Kong, 15, 20 years or something like that Ma. Anyways, he's gone with them. And it's like all of a sudden you take it. So this guy's just showing right away that this guy was another Chinese plant, which is also an indictment on the Conservative Party, because you guys can cry foul, but he was your guy. Why didn't you check them? What's the security? So you just taking anybody and anyone. So you're just part of the Uniparty. But the point is, Carney, I think, is just that little fly that's kind of pesters you once in a while, but you learn to ignore it. And I think that's for Trump. He's like, he's got his plan. He's moving forward. He's doing it. He's got, the good news is he's got all his key players now, first time, because 2016 was a wreck. He got to see everyone's play. That's what those 4 years were. I'm watching you guys. I'm learning what you're doing to me. I'm learning what it's like. I've never ran a government before, but I'm looking at what's going on here, and I'm learning. And now he's got like a well-oiled machine. Now he's the coach. He's got the right players in place. Now he's the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, we also
they're crushing people right now.
Yeah, they're looking really good.
Yeah.
The other thing is we got Dan Bongino out, and Bongino's doing some tremendous work, because he's calling out the black billers and ever Trumpers on our side of the aisle. So a lot of these people, a lot of people that used to, that you didn't know, you thought, "Oh, this is a good guy, we want to support him," like Rand Paul and Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I believe she's going to be, the next host of The View, which is kind of crazy. But
Bongino, I did predict that he left because he is a instrumental person on the airwaves. and on X and on YouTube and Rumble to help MAGA keep moving forward. He's better on the outside, being the prophet crying from the hilltops, and versus having him being an FBI guy. I think that gave him a year to see what was going on, and now he's going to have all his ammunition, through 2026 to broadcast exactly what's going on and who's doing what. Because I don't think Bongino's a bad guy. I think he was.
No, I'm all in.
Yeah.
Bongino's our guy. He wouldn't have been in there working with Kash Patel, a name that I first learned from the Q drops 5 years ago. Before I never, the first time I ever heard Kash Patel's name was in the Q drop. I go, who's this?
Yeah.
I never heard of this guy. And Q said Kash Patel, a name to remember, a name to remember. It was very interesting. A lot of the stuff in those Q drops have come to be factual. And the fact that Trump's own administration is dropping Q language, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? And as I mentioned on Tuesday's show, either it's just they're going to use it for their own benefit, just as kind of a propaganda tool, a morale booster. Possible. I don't say no to it. But by gum, there is so many good things coming out of that thing that we're seeing coming out in our own time. Speaking of, stuff that's fallen, that used to be uttered with like sanctity and seriousness, no longer flies at all. Listen to this retard. Basil Great goes, Keir Starmer says climate change is the reason fighting age Muslim men are traveling to the UK from the world across the world illegally. Is he lying or is he terminally thick? Let's listen to this moron. Go. Here we go.
I think we need to look at every aspect of illegal migration. Upstream, looking at the causes, which of course are often poverty, climate change, persecution. Look at the causes. I think we need to look at every aspect of illegal migration. Upstream,
they're all saying the same stuff over and over and over.
Poverty, climate change, persecution.
Okay, I want you to hear this. This is why they're coming. Listen what he says.
Climate change.
That's all that right there.
So he's saying that there's a whole bunch of forces driving these young men to come out and go into England, and he has the audacity to go. The only idiots that believe that are people on the left, like Porch Pineapple and Loki Tio, who feel that this is all caused by climate change.
Well, you see, Carney's saying that he's creating carbon-friendly oil.
Carbon oil. Carbon-free oil. There you go.
But they're all talking at the same time with the same talking points. That's why it's funny. You're still seeing people exposing them when they all around the world release the same language, the same talking points, just like we saw with the shooting of the lady and the crazy lady in Minnesota. All of the talking points rolled out at the same time, and they all started using the same language all the way through it. They're like, nobody thinks for themselves on that side. They're all lemmings going over the cliff one after another. Let them keep going because they're
well, I mean,
stupid.
Yeah. For example, we had Porch Pineapple go, the big thing from the quote from 1984, the biggest command was don't believe the evidence of your own eyes. The evidence of my own eyes shows a smiling woman mowing down an ICE officer and we even got his camera where that all goes funky because the guy's being hit by the car and you can see him be hit. There's multiple views on this thing. And this is why, to reiterate, CTV came out and said, well, there's conflicting viewpoints on this. Yeah. You idiots can't get away with your bullshit anymore. We all can see with our own eyes what the actual footage shows. You know how you avoid getting shot by ICE, motherfuckers? Don't go and impede law enforcement from doing, and don't try and kill them by running them over with your vehicle. A lot of metal there. People have been killed by cars before. I don't know if you leftists are aware of that. It's called an automobile accident. All right?
Well, apparently one of the ICE agents was dragged 300 feet in another
the
instance
same
in a car.
The same guy that got bumped was dragged a few weeks ago 300 yards by one of these idiots. Yeah. So it's a dangerous job. And they caught the girl's wife, Larry David. I don't know about you. You've got a partner. How nice. I've got a lovely wife. Anyway, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Pretty funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, is this the guy that was shaking you down, Cheryl? Yeah, that's him. He was making fun of our relation. Well, listen. And she cried. Oh my God.
Oh, geez.
The only thugs are you outlaws running around breaking laws, trying to kill law enforcement. We want to see more of you idiots locked up and thrown in jail for attempted murder. That would be nice. It'd be really nice if you could stop trying to kill our president while you're at it. Thank you. That would be appreciated as well.
How about take your drugs off our streets?
Drugs,
killing us all with your opioids.
Yeah.
Not putting those guys in jail that are selling that crap. You guys are all on the wrong side of history.
Your time is up. You better know it. Your old road is rapidly fading. Bob Dylan, man, the times they are changing. You had your power, but it's gone. Your narrative is gone. You've lost. It's all over. It is finished. It is finished.
So Marxism and the Marxism is your sign. So that's basically Marxism never works. Don't try and tell us that it's never been done before in its purity. It never works because your system requires a gun to people's heads. Our system says your freedom to choose what you want to do in life.
You pick. Yeah. You're the autocrats. You're the ones that has to be done by force. We, the people, will fight. So, and there's so much brilliant, beautiful things happening. Iran is going back to people. And so that was another dark money hole. Iran, we're seeing the end of the war in the Ukraine. Now we are watching globalist forces kind of circle the wagons on that one with the coalition of the willing. So England,
Ukraine,
Canada, France, all moving in with forces in Ukraine, hoping against hope that some sort of false flag will result in Russia getting upset and blowing the hell out of them. But it's not going to happen. Patriots in control. That's what the U.S. Labor Department posted. Also, that is an old Q post from years ago, but the State Department wanted to reiterate that Q post.
But
Patriots in control. Go ahead, Blake.
Well, I guess the effort that they have gone on for years to try and turn Russia into this, they want to break Russia up. It's the same thing. It's the same people. They never change. And but it's, as you said, the walls are now collapsing. They are the baddies, and they think they're the goodies. And sadly, the people, their shock troops on the ground, are brainwashed in believing that they're somehow moral in their crusade against capitalism, right? And that's the problem. It is the crony capitalists that are managing the Marxists on the ground. So you guys are all the same. You've always been the same. You are the fascists in Germany in the 1930s. You're the socialists. You're all collectivists, all authoritarians. Why don't you embrace your inner classical liberalism? I'll let you use the word liberal too, because it used to be a beautiful term. It used to be a really good term. That's what describes most of us. Conservatives were the ones that wanted to maintain the old order, the old empire, no free trade. And, Trump he's a free trader. Don't get him wrong on that. He's just putting tariffs against countries that have been hurting America and don't want to free trade.
Well, we got the numbers in as well on that. Trump just announced that the trade deficit totally in favor of the Americans for the first time in decades. So it's incredible.
I think we got him on the run. He's mad now.
There we go. We got a little Karen on her. Karen alert. Karen alert. That's okay, honey. Settle down there, little.
We'll send you your free masks in the mail.
Holy smoke. You might want to just go toss it for an hour or two to comfort your poor lamentable soul. Anyway, what are you going to do with these people? A lot of people are coming, even from the left, are starting to see and wake up. The Great Awakening is upon us, but there'll be about 4% of it all. The diehards like this porch pineapple that they got their heads so far up their asses, all they're seeing is a colonoscopy. And this is all the hope they have. It's unfortunate, but sad to be you, little porch pineapple.
Well, think of what the alternative they provide us. We drag them kicking and screaming into freedom
and prosperity,
or they drag us into
desolation,
Dragging
and
and kicking and
bankruptcy,
screaming, and bankruptcy and authoritarianism and
Yes.
prison and murder
Yeah.
and death.
which
Yeah.
they love in their dark souls.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jesus said, I come to give you life and life more abundantly. Praise God. Where the Spirit of God is, there is liberty and justice for all. I'm going to add
And
that
what
a
is
little bit.
freely given is
Yeah.
freely received. No force. Freely given, freely received. That's the difference between really on the whole idea of choice. So
What you call fascism, we call liberation. Like I said earlier, the world sees the works of God and liberty and truth, and they invert it. It's upside down. Just like the health pyramid, we got to turn that right around, and then you're going to get healthy again. You clowns aren't doing shit. Your fascist overlords are. You know, Pineapple, you've been fun, but block user on YouTube. Goodbye, fucker. I don't need you around. And he's gone. So we won't see. He'll be coming back under a different identity, but he is no longer going to be the porch pina. I just pinated your fucking ass, you communist son of a bitch. Take your communist bullshit elsewhere. Praise God for Donald John Trump, chosen by Jesus personally to come and grant liberty to a hurting world. Praise God for that. Blake, final word to you, and we'll say goodbye.
I don't know if I could beat that last comment.
Yeah.
That was great.
We could
That's
just
the best place to end it.
we could
And,
just
and a punt between the uprights at the same
Holy
time.
shit, yeah, 3 is good for 3 points. That's good. All right, everybody, that'll do it for now. We'll see you on Tuesday. We'll be back, except for Porch Pineapple, who will not be back on Tuesday.
I can
All
still
right,
see it
everybody.
scaling through the air.
Take care, everybody.